What is up, guys? Welcome back to another Vern Supercoach video. This time it's the AFL Round 1 review, and I feel bloody fantastic. I know, my score wasn't massive, my rank isn't crazy, but I've had two really poor years back to back, especially starting off. Sorry, I say two really poor starts. In my Supercoach recently, this is probably the best start I've ever had. Pretty sure when I finished 317th, I started at like 50k. And then last year we started at 96,000. So to start at 6,830th, that feels pretty bloody good. That feels so good comparatively. I mean, last year I finished 46k. It was an awful year, the worst on record by far. And I can't put it into words how much better this feels, how much confidence, so much more confident I am with my team. We talked a lot about it in the preseason that I was just using my eyes. Wasn't looking at the ownerships. I wasn't actually indulging in that much Supercoach content, but I watched all the games and I made decisions of the players I liked, and I didn't let too much else affect that. And that's obviously the most important thing when you're picking your team. You've got to pick players you like. You can't pick a player you never saw because someone else said, oh, they're a must-have. You got to go do that research if that's the case. And yeah, I just picked the players that I liked. Maybe the one exception of Zorko, but he's a premium, and we know how good he is. It obviously paid out dividends to start the season. So I just feel great. Yeah, 2,206 points to start the season. A lot of things went pretty right for us, and I'm pretty excited to go through the team. Now, we did obviously do a bit of a mid-round thing where we talked about a bit about the games in the middle of the round, so I'll just quickly bring up what we saw here in these games. Geelong ended up pumping Freo, which was crazy. I mean, Reed had that crazy 4 in a row. Oh my goodness, that was nuts from Murphy Reed, so that was super entertaining. And then I don't know what happened in the fourth, but Geelong absolutely pumped them. Strong, obviously someone I was big on and didn't end up starting him. We had Brisbane get over Sydney. This was pretty good for me. I felt like Zorko scored really nicely, which was good. Robert scored really nicely. Neil was over 33% owned. Over 30% owned. I don't know the exact number. Over 30% owned, and over, I think, 12% of those had him as captain. So for him to go sub 50 explains why my round started off pretty well. The crazy one there was obviously Dunkley going bananas. We all know that I talked about Dunkley earlier in the season. I talked about, remember, he did do half a season of 130 plus until his injury. Someone I was interested from Brisbane, but it ended up being one of those things where obviously we just never ended up with that uber premium full stop. And if it was going to be someone, it would have been Sarong. So I'm pretty happy with how that sort of fell. Collingwood pumped Port, and that just felt fantastic. Last week, I don't know, I thought we were generally going to be really good this season, and last week really made me sort of go, I think the signs were there, but it just didn't feel good. And then to come out this week and just dominate Port, man, that felt good. We had the Dogs North game on at the same time. I actually didn't watch any of it because of me watching this Collingwood game. It was also my fiance's younger brother's 21st, so I was pretty intoxicated. So even watching the Pies game, I couldn't really tell you much right now, I gotta be honest. I remember watching it and enjoying it and watching us pump them, but I don't really remember much of it, I gotta be honest. And then I didn't see Bulldogs versus North. We had a North supporter there who wanted to watch. He's like, no, we can beat them, you guys have already won. And I'm like, you gotta enjoy the wins, mate. Calm down, I'm enjoying this. Adelaide pumped Saints. A lot of pumpings, which was nuts. They made it look competitive because they got a few cheeky goals at the end, but it wasn't. Melbourne dropped to GWS. This one pretty frustrating, I think. Gawn was definitely on track for 150 plus, and then a lot of backwards scaling. Had a 80-point first half, but in a close game, obviously the scaling goes towards the second half. On top of it, he had that shot for goal at the end, and it dropped short. I know it's all hypotheticals, but if that carries the extra 5 meters, it was on track and it would have gone through. And if that goes through, it obviously seals the game. He probably ends up 150 plus. And we feel even better about the week. It's a little bit disappointing there because I really expected something huge from him. Instead, the reverse happened and Keith kicked a goal on him and won the game for GWS. So And then West Coast they got absolutely pumped by Gold Coast. That was the only game I personally didn't opt into watching. I'd already watched a couple of games of footy at that stage, and the missus was like, mate, you spent all day watching footy. Get the fuck up. And I'm like, okay, sorry. But I'm glad I didn't waste my time on that game. Look at that game. What a bloodbath. So yeah, basically watched every game but Dogs North and West Coast, Gold Coast. But yeah, we'll go through the team. Look, I think pretty well. I mean, we had my three, I guess, captains that we sort of talked about being De Koning, Sheasel, Gawn. I thought Gawn we couldn't go past. And yeah, I feel for non-owners, they should be pretty happy with this 129. Saying that, though, I just feel like Gawn's going to be pretty safe. Like, he just feels like he's going to be really good, though. And look, at the end of the day, guys, it is one round in. Don't forget that it's one round. Next round, a lot of shuffling is going to happen again. Hopefully my team can stay on top of it, but as we can see, it's a lot more mid-price heavy, which isn't as strong in the buy rounds. So rounds 2, 3, and 4 might not be our best rounds, but then from like 5 to 10, before we hit the middle buys, 5 to 11, it should really power through those rounds. So Sheasel was started off the 106. It's fine. A lot of people own him. I feel very confident in him being very top of his line defender, so it's fine. Zorko comes out with a massive score. Feel fantastic about that. It was a good score. The Magician kicks 2 goals at the end. I was actually ragging on him in our group chat that we have for a few of the content creators. I was like, man, he's looking every bit the 37-year-old or 36-year-old he is. Like, he is looking so slow, and he's just... I understand he's just there to kick the ball and be the guy that hits targets, but this is hard to watch. And then he just got up into the chip mark. He got a bit more involved. He started really scaling up, and I was like, okay, this isn't too bad. And then the Magician himself somehow puts a goal in, and I'm like, okay, that's massive points. This guy just went from like 70 to 100 because it was towards the end. And then managed to put a second goal down on them. And once again, a crazy close game, and scaling just goes bananas, and he ends up on 139, and I'm like, damn. Robert's also someone that was struggling a bit earlier, but he managed to get to the 95, and once again, this is a guy priced at like 82. He doesn't have to do much to be a successful pick. He's obviously very highly owned. We know, like, even when he was 5% owned, I was sitting here like the easiest pick in the game, and yeah, I'm not stressed at all about that. Perryman. This is the one that's a bit hard, because we all know that I wasn't against fading Perryman. If a better option came up with the right situation, I would have faded Perryman. I definitely wasn't super attached to the pick. And this kind of sucked what he did. But at the same time, his break-even's like 77. We'll give him an extra week, and we'll see how he goes. He does have the CBA rotations. He played a defensive tagging role. It's not going to be the case every week. If we do just jump into like this week coming, we have the Dogs. I doubt he's going to go to Richards and tag him or anything like that, so it's fine. While we do speak about the Dogs, Dale goes bananas. God damn it, Dale. Once again, someone that I think that's probably one of the most frustrating things in Supercoach. Like, you make the correct play. It's always correct, because I'm sure DR probably has the same feelings with the Ed Richards pick. Obviously, he was huge on Ed Richards. I was pretty big on Dale myself, and it was one of these things where it's like, yeah, I'm going to pick this guy, and he's going to be a huge point of difference. And then you realize he's getting managed, and he's not 100% ready, and he's kind of just coming off an injury, and you're like, okay, I can't start a guy who's like fresh off an injury. Like, it's not the correct play. It's way too risky, unnecessary. And then they come out and go bananas round 1. Richard scored 119. Dale gets the 129. I'm like, this is why I wanted you. I really believed in your ability to go 105 plus this season, and you started out with a bang, and I'm so sad I missed it. But yeah, Perryman, we give an extra week, and we worry about that. Pryor, Reed, I talked about them in my weekly video, so it is what it is. But look, at the end of the day, Ridley got injured, which he takes kick-ins, he gets involved in the chick mark, he gets intercepts. I think that does mean, hopefully, more intercepts toward Reed, and I think it does mean more balls spread between Pryor and Reed, so that's not too bad. I think we'll be okay. Padden got subbed off. His score was tracking alright, even if he was being pretty meh. And look, he's got like a minus 30 break even. He just needs to play like a couple more weeks, but I think they have their bye not next week, but the following week. No, they may have their... Yeah, I think they have their bye in round 5 with Hawthorn. Nope, round 3. Okay. Well, he'll have one game and then a bye. So, I mean, it'd be great if he could play at least 2 more, get a bit more of a price. It'd be great if he played more. It'd be great if he played 3, 4, 5 more. But no guarantees there. And trainer, that's fine. Getting a very cheap rookie and he put out a 50. Cool, as long as he keeps playing and he keeps putting out 50s, he's going to rise in price. And then we get to the midfield, which is mid prices. It's where I think I have a real difference on the competition. It's where I went and got probably an extra. It's where I have one less rookie overall. Because I went really cheap in the midfield. And Rosie, sensational, very happy with that. It's perfect outcome. Collingwood pumped them and Rosie still puts out a great score. Will Day, 77. I already talked about that during the week. It's fine. I still have faith in this boy. Not stressed. Oliver, this one was a little bit harder. Didn't look great overall in my opinion, but everyone owns him. And once again, he doesn't have to do much to be a successful pick, so he'll survive. Chera, yeah, people wanted the massive score, the easy kill on Richmond, but they lost at the end of the day. 106 is still plenty good for his price. And Callahan came out with the 104. I feel pretty good about that. His break-even's nice and low. And he gives me a bit of a loop this week as well, so it means I get that extra look at a rookie, which is really nice. Finn O'Sullivan. You guys are probably looking at this right now going, Vern, why is he there? I literally made the comment in my last video that Levi is meant to be a sub. If for some reason he's not a sub, I'll go Finn back to Levi. That was the only reason I brought Finn in. What bloody happens? Levi gets named. And I said if he gets named, I'll bring him in. But I didn't. I did sit there and go, look, he was meant to be sub. If he comes out and he has a pretty average game or poor game, he might just end up sub next week. And what's the point of having a kid that's going to be a sub-risk? Let's just get a Finn O'Sullivan, the job security is better, and we'll be happier. And logically, that makes sense. I think those were valid reasons. But Levi looked pretty damn good, and it's going to be hard to drop him now. And Finn, 50 is whatever. O'Driscoll, oh my gosh, if you didn't start O'Driscoll, get O'Driscoll in. Looked so good. Had good CBA rotation. Yeah, love what we're getting from this kid. Sada, sorry, talked about him once again in the middle of the week video, but very frustrating with him. Tog super low, 57%, and that's even with 2 players getting injured. He still had crazy low Tog. How does that even happen? He still had 55% CBA, so he still ended up in the CBA rotation. But his Tog was low, his disposals didn't look good. They were lucky to not just be clangers because, God, there were some ugly balls. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Sardis. It really makes me think of Bruin a few seasons ago. Very low Tog, and even though he's playing CBA rotations, we're like, yeah, he's playing CBA rotations, be fine. And then he ended up like 60% Tog every game, was like a 60 average player, and I was like, Obviously, with Bruin, he was already priced at 300k, so it was really bad. Sardis would still technically make money if he went at a 60 average, but I just don't like it. Not a fan of it. Yeah. Nevitt, was pretty slow, but then got online and, really got good score in the end, 82. Very happy with that. Cacao, very comfortable with him, 62. Looks good. Camporelli, 56. Worked out the way I hoped. Not the way I hoped, but worked out how I got scared it might happen. Boxall at the end of the day got named as an emergency, didn't end up playing the game, and it's a good thing I didn't miss out on Camporelli, and then I had to bring in some random pick that I wasn't too sure with. It would have been funny if I ended up on something like Lindsay. I'd say Xavier Lindsay. I doubt it. I very much doubt I would have ended up on that path. I probably would have ended up with like Elijah Hewitt in my midfield. But yeah, I'm pretty happy I got Camporelli there. Go on, as I said, good enough. TDK, great. Awesome. Very happy with these two. Harry Boyd, 63. Very happy with that from him, even though they got smashed. And he gets Sam DeConing this week. Honestly, he could generally be looking for like an 80 this week. This guy's going to make tons of money for us. Rowan Marshall had the ice on his knee, whatever that ends up being. But I think it just ends up more time for Boyd, and that's just amazing. So, yeah, great starting pick. Horn Francis, 83, whatever, they got pumped. Not stressed, everyone has him. I think he'll once again be a very clear top 6 forward. McRae, oh my god, back to his best. Those stats, those numbers he put out, he absolutely stat padded it. Yes, St Kilda got pumped, but goddamn, McRae. Yeah, easy top 6 forward. Bailey Smith, easy top 6 forward. Absolutely pumped it as well. So good. Outside game, so good. Coming into St Kilda this week, a team that historically give up big points to outside players / designated kickers. I understand he's not like a designated kicker, but they do give up, as we know, a lot of points to backmen or outside players. So Smith could really tear him apart. Have another really good week. Parker, 69. It's okay. Had some decent CBAs, I think 58%, so roll wasn't actually too bad for what I'd looked at on DFS. Once again, I didn't see this game. I wish I could have seen it for this reason, but his stats didn't look bad either. I looked at DFS and it didn't even look bad. I mean, I have DFS right here because I was looking at it all before I jumped on. I just wanted to confirm a few things. CBAs... Here we go. So yeah, 58%, not bad. We jump here and we jump to the actual game itself, and you look at the numbers he had, they're not bad. 10 kicks, 11 hand passes, 21 disposals isn't bad, 5 marks and 4 tackles. It's not bad. Didn't give any frees away. He got a free, kicked it behind. 6 contested. I think I'd like to see that higher. That's usually higher for Luke Parker, but that's fine. Only 2 clangers, and I think the big thing here is 61% efficiency. So even though he had 21 touches, if he only scored points for 11 to 12 of those, that's obviously where it hurts. So, yeah, I don't think it's too bad. I think it's fine. I think his role is probably fine. Once again, he's very cheap. He's priced at like 63, so he really only needs to go like an 85 to be successful. Doesn't need to do much, and I think the role's there, so I think I'm okay with this. Daniel, it's whatever, everyone has him, and then Hugo Garcia, the other one that he's very similar to Sardis, make me want to tear my hair out. Sardis had 57% TOG, Hugo Garcia had 61%. Not any better. And once again, I did watch this game, and I just don't know what to tell you. I thought I was paying $240k for a guy that was going to get good mid-rotation and be a tackle beast. I think he had like 1 tackle in the game as well, which is frustrating. He did get a holding the ball tackle, which was really nice, and the only reason he got to 54, plus he kicked that goal at the end. If he didn't have those few plays at the end, he was going for 30-something. It wasn't good. But I didn't think I was paying $240k for a guy that was going to be basically a small forward with very low TOG. I was actually surprised. He had 37% CBAs. I guess when there's like 34 CBAs though, like 13 CBAs really isn't much in the grand scheme of things. But like, yeah, he had way more CBAs than I realized. I thought he had way less, and he only really got them towards the end of the game. But yeah, I just wasn't impressed. Low TOG, once again, reminds me of Bruin. I don't like that. And I just didn't think I was paying that much money for a small forward with low TOG. So, yeah, not happy with that. Stone, 42, it's good enough. They have a bye. It allows me to loop. I like that. Sam Davis, didn't see this game. A lot of people have him, so no problem there. And Matty Flynn, 87. Once again, this one of the other games I didn't see, but not really a problem. My interest was pretty low on this game because I only had Flynn in it. I went into Wits, who's a really restrictive rut. He got an 87 out of it. They got pumped by like 100 points. I know Waterman went down, got injured, and he went to like forward for the last quarter where he managed to kick a goal and actually score a decent amount of points while playing forward, which was weird. So yeah, I think Flynn will be good. I think Flynn will be fine. I'm glad I don't have him at R2 and I have to rely on him there, but Flex is, I guess, similar thing. He's still on field. But yeah, that's the team. They're all the things I guess I observed with it. So we'll talk about my trades. I would love just to not trade. I think if you're in a luxury position where you don't have to trade, that's great. But I think if I don't trade, I probably burn a boost next week to fix things up. So I think I have a choice now. I can make some trades now, which will hopefully put me in a position where next week I can just use 2 trades and the team's pretty good. I think the team's pretty good overall, so I'm not too stressed about it. And if I get to save a boost, great. That's going to be way better for the middle of the season when we're hitting upgrades. Way better. So I like the idea of using 2 trades now to try and avoid using a boost next week. Now, I think the big things that we'll look at. I don't think Patton's too much of a problem. I think he's still gonna play. I hope. Perryman, he's gonna get another week. He's going to hopefully get a price rise. I mean, he got a 77 break even. Take one more look at him. I don't think he's going to get much less than that in a worst case scenario. So if he does get less than his break even, he probably just gets traded. It sucks, but it is what it is. So I'll give him another week. The only other real options here. So Sardis, wasn't happy with that Tog. Wasn't happy with what I saw. Hugo Garcia, wasn't happy with that Tog. Wasn't happy with what I saw. And I guess the only other fun one is Luke Parker, but as I said, he got the CBAs, so it's new game for a new club. I think I want to back him in to try and bring it back, and once again, he doesn't have to do much. He's not like a Perryman who needs to actually be getting, like, he's not like a Perryman that's basically priced at 80, and it's like, bro, you need to get 95, like, at minimum. This guy's priced at 63. He only really needs to, get like an 80, which I think he can do. So I think they're the 4 problem children I'm looking at. 2 of them I'm going to give an extra week to, I think. I probably just hold Parker, though. I think I'll survive with that. So it's really Perryman next week. And then if there ends up being any other rookie corrections that I potentially need. I think Sardis and Garcia, I think those are ones I should probably move on because with their Tog being so shit. I mean, Sardis at least had a good role. He played 55% CBA. So when he was on, he played CBAs. And I understand Redmond was in the middle, and with obviously Ridley getting injured, Redmond maybe doesn't end up in the middle as much, which is great, but it doesn't fix his Tog. Once again, it wasn't that his role was bad, he just didn't play much. And so I just don't like it. Just don't like it. I think it spells disaster. I think it really caps his ceiling and means that he has quite a low floor because he's just not getting on enough. And as I said, he butchered the ball a lot. So yeah, I think more important than that, I wouldn't even mind giving these guys an extra week. Wouldn't even mind giving them an extra week. But I think as I said, I don't want to burn a boost. So I'd prefer to deal with them now. I think Levi announced himself and basically put himself in a situation where he has to be a must-have. So if he's a must-have, someone's got to go for him. I think out of the 2... Sardis definitely goes, so we're just going to go down and field of players I can afford, and we got Levi Ashcroft, so let's just lock him on in there. Awesome. Yeah, his break-even isn't crazy low, but like 84 is good, he looked good, he's coming in the West Coast, I think I want to be a part of that. And then Hugo can go out, and there was a fair few good players here. I mean, we can always look at the break-even games and be like, yeah, who was good? Like, Hull was good. Lindsay was, I thought, actually really good. Henderson's, very cheap, so it leaves a lot of money to play with. But I think I actually want Ned Long. And I know everyone's probably sitting there thinking, Vern, really? First of all, we won by a lot. He was sensational. I don't see how he doesn't get named again this game. He had 74 or 71% CBAs. That's why I was on Collingwood when I was looking at CBAs earlier, because I wanted to be checking out Ned Long's numbers. 71% CBAs. Now, you see 20% the week before. He came on as a sub. For like a quarter and a half, got 30 points. It was good enough. But 71% CBAs, like that's pretty massive. His score is massive, and even more important than anything, this 113 is in game 2. As we know, game 1 means that it's only there for the price rise in round 3, and then your score cycles out. So it doesn't really matter if you have a massive game 1 because it's only there for 1. Game 2 means it's going to be there for 3 and 4. Obviously 3 means it's going to be there for 3, 4, 5, and so forth for any game after that, but he got it in game 2, which is much better than game 1, and to a degree almost better than game 3 unless you're on them, because if you're not on them on game 3, they're getting a huge price rise and it's too late. If you're on them on game 3, then obviously it's amazing and you want to be a part of that. So I think the thing with Long is it's just like low risk, high reward. Like, the low risk is this guy, he's going to be playing. I don't see him getting dropped. We belted them. He comes out with, let's just say, back-to-back 50s, which isn't even, they're not good. But he comes out with back-to-back 50s. He's still making 75k like that. That's great. If he ends up with another role like this, I understand once again Pendles was our sub, but I think Steele had elevated CBAs. Obviously Perryman's were a bit low. I do wonder if maybe me wanting Long to go well means Perryman goes poorly. And maybe I'm handcuffing them, or one of them has to do well. I don't know, maybe. But if he, let's just say hypothetically, he comes out and he drops like a 90 or some shit. Now, we don't have the browser extension, which I could easily have downloaded to see what that looks like, but all of a sudden he has a 113 and a 90 and he cycle. This probably goes up way more. Even if he gets like a 60 after that, he probably ends up making 100k very easily in 2 games of price rises. So yeah, I think this is low risk because we're guaranteed to get good money in a worst case scenario, but it's high reward because if for some reason he comes out with, as I said, a 90 or something like that, or has consistently good games because he's got a good role and he's a mature body who's meant to have been able to play at the level when he was playing for Hawthorn's VFL, then great. The man can come out, we can blow it up. I say good, but I think he's like a 90s average in VFL, which is pretty low for some people's standards. But he's pretty one-dimensional. He has to play midfield, so we know we're going to be forcing him into the midfield. It's a good role, and hopefully he can just perform. Now, I understand this was an absolute blowout, but yeah, I don't know. I think I like the Long pick. I think I like the, as I said, low risk, high reward, very easy. It's a lot of money tied up there, but at the same time, like, what else am I doing with this money? Like, I already have 81k for correction trades next week. Do I really need more? If I go along to a, say a Warner instead, put another 50k in there, I'm sitting 130k there for potential correction trades, and if I don't do them, they're just floating 130k. So yeah, pretty happy to do that. The break-evens are now showing everyone right now because we no longer have a player locked in, so it literally shows every line, which is great. Stone actually apparently has the highest break-even of anyone, which isn't surprising because he's played 2 games, and he's the only player that's had consistent 2 games where he did fine. Also, he's one of the cheaper players. Unlike Long, who's 200k, he's 80k cheaper. He's even cheaper than Padden, so even though they scored roughly the same, he's cheaper, so he gets a better break-even. And then Warner, who didn't have a good game. Like, his game 1 was alright. I think he got 50-something in game 1, but then, the 72 in game 2. Saying that he got gifted goals. He got 2 goals. One of them was off a 50-meter penalty, and I actually feel like the second one was off a 50-meter penalty. But maybe it wasn't. But he definitely got 1 off a 50-meter penalty, so he got kind of gifted in this game. So yeah, I don't know about that. Reed didn't see, as I said, Padden. Keefe, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. I get it. He's played 2 games and he's a super cheap ruck, but that goal he got at the end was worth an insane amount of points. This guy was going for maybe a 45 to 50 on the game, and then kicks a goal that's worth literally 40 to 35 points. So only reason he even got a decent score. Constantini, I don't think that's how you say his name, but Constanzi, yeah, something like that instead. 74, really good. Once again, didn't see his game, so I don't know. Hall, he was good, but I mean, God Saints suck. And I thought Lindsay was really good. I was really happy with him. Don't need to talk about too many more. It's only been 1 round, but it's more about these guys that have already played 2 and they don't have the bye coming into the 3rd. So yeah, we'll lock in Long. I like that for the team, and I like that. Now, great news here. Once again, we have loopholes, so we get to make the easiest decisions of our life. So we have Long playing game 2 on the Friday night, so we're just going to throw the E on him. Nice and easy. He pops off, he comes on for Callahan, amazing. If he puts out a 60, we can always throw Nevitt on, no problem. I actually think Nevitt's better than O'Sullivan, so I reckon we'd put O'Sullivan on for him instead. And the good thing is it's the second last game too to make that decision. These 2 don't lock each other out, so I can literally leave it for the last second. Bonus here. Once again, it's best of 18 guys. So let's just say hypothetically, Ned Long comes out and he drops a 77, and we go, that's not bad. But then, before the second last game of the round starts, I look at it and Ned Long's my 19th highest scorer on field, meaning his score doesn't count. So at that point, you just put O'Sullivan on and you roll the dice. If he scores less than Long, neither of the scores count. But if he scores more than your 18th highest player, you get bonus points. Even if it's only 3 to 4 to 5 extra bonus points, it's a free loop. It's a free look. it's free points. So just make sure you take that into account. Obviously, if Long scores 100 and he ends up like my 10th highest scorer, I'm not putting Sullivan on. Like, it's just not happening. Even if Sullivan ends up going 105, it's like, oh, well, you know, I still think this was the correct play. So we get a free look there. So same thing in the forward line, exactly the same logic. Get a free look at Davidson, and then we can choose to run Kakao or not. The difference is obviously they play earlier in the round, so we don't quite get that like free look in the sense that I'm going to know if they're a top scorer or not, but we at least get a free. If he puts out a 37 again, we run Kakao. If he drops to 65, we probably just take the 65. Saying that, I guess maybe it depends on, I was going to say other rookies, but we're not really going to know by that time. I mean, we can probably just play for the higher upside. If he gets 65, maybe just play for the Kakao and he hopes he kicks a couple of goals at the MCG against Adelaide and gets an 80 and scores points. But yeah, we get free looks there. So we get looks at, technically we get the field. Obviously 23 players with 18 of their scores counting. We get a free look at 2 of them with potential to put on 2 to replace them if need be. Meaning we get 25 players to have a look at their potential score. So this are up to 25. Obviously we may only take 24 if, you know, long score counts. So, but yeah, we get a lot of looks, a lot of free looks. Going to be very easy to run. The only thing you need to keep in mind here is that you do need one of the GWS players to loop the VC score if you get a good VC score. I mean, if Long goes 77, but let's say Long goes 77, but Davidson maybe does more. Let's just say he goes 65, Davidson goes 70. And I want to roll the dice with Sutherland. I can really only choose one of them because I'm going to need one of these GWS boys on field to use as a VC loop. So hopefully I don't lock myself out of anything. Maybe I'm better off just running Nevitt on the bench. Yeah, I'm not going to bring in a 200k guy to not roll with him, but Nevitt's pretty good. I feel pretty confident they're all going to score well, so it shouldn't really matter too much. But we'll quickly jump into the captains to wrap it on up. This week I think it's a bit harder for captains. I think last week was almost pretty straightforward. If you want to throw a TDK in, sure. I mean, he's just so good. So good, I think it doesn't matter who he's versing in the ruck because he doesn't score points in the ruck. He scores points by roaming around and just being athletic at contests and just getting a lot of possessions and contested marks and just very good. So I think he's matchup proof. Feel free to just throw De Koning in if you want. Why not? Dogs in the Collingwood. Nobody in this game that stands out to me. Collingwood used to give up a lot of points to defenders, or at least we did last year, one of the top end teams for that, so Dale might be able to have a good day. But once again, I don't feel rushed there. Essendon, Adelaide, once again, not really feeling anyone in this game. And here we go. This is it. This is my VC. Connor Rosie. It's a Rosie or a Horn Francis. You got to choose one of them. They're going into Richmond. We know what Butters normally does to them. I think I'm going to go for Rosie. He showed the high ceiling. We know he has a high ceiling. He did in the preseason. He had a good first game. We've seen in the previous seasons he's got a massive ceiling. So I think I feel comfortable with Rosie. Very easy VC on Rosie, who I think will be the highest scorer of the round. And then just lock in a nice easy captaincy after that. Boom. Now, if he doesn't work out, a few options afterwards. A few. As I mentioned, Bailey Smith could go big against the Saints, outside player. I actually think you can't look past Rosie, but if you don't have him, then you could always just, as I said, do a TDK. If you want to get spicy, you could put a VC on a Smith, but I think that's like very... I don't think you need to take that kind of risk. We have Zorko going into West Coast. I think Zorko could really tear up West Coast, or if you did happen to have a Neil, very obvious Neil play, very obvious Dunkley play. I think Zorko, Neil, Dunkley, and obvious reasons there. We just saw Gold Coast destroy them on the inside, absolutely destroy them, and we know what they'll do. Saying that, they were also a team that managed to give up a lot of points to defenders in previous years as well, so I think Zorko could still be pretty safe as well. The next one here, Cherry versus Gorn. I think they're the only two players that I'd be considering in this game. I don't think I'd be going for Shees or Oliver or anything. But I also wouldn't personally go for Cherry. I think Gorn's the only real answer here. And that's more or less that Cherry isn't a good hit-out ruckman. He's more of a around-the-ground pressure ruckman that gets tackles. So I think Gorn wins the hit-out count. And look, he did have 15 hit-outs to advantage, and he still only scored a 129, which was surprising. But I also think he's going to be pretty revved up. They just lost a game to his man kicking the game-winning goal. I think he's potentially going to have a captain's bounce back game, and he's going to tear it up again this week. But yeah, I think he's someone that's also just super safe. I feel very safe to say he's probably going 130 plus. But I don't think you'll have to rely on that because of power. And the very last one, if you want a cheeky one, but it's the last game. I don't know if I'd be putting a C on this. I think, personally for me, it's just Rosie into Gorn, but it's probably just Rosie into Callahan. Like, let's be honest, let's just lock it in. But technically Roberts or Blakey. Freo, once again, a team that give up big points to defenders, and that's what Robert and Blakey are. They're designated kickers in defense. So, yep. Easy. Anyway, that's going to be my team. That's going to be my wrap. I know we rambled on for ages, and I didn't actually drop this earlier in the video, so I appreciate all those that have stuck around, those that have liked and subscribed for the consistent injections of Supercoach content directly into their YouTube feed. You can also come join me on my Twitter. I will drop that down below in the description just for updates here and there. Sometimes comment on things, but I always put out when my videos come out, so you'll see it there first. But till next time, guys, peace, later.